The moment Sarah opened her mouth, I knew my entire marriage was about to collapse right there at the dinner table.
Let me back up. My wife Elena and I had been married for 11 years. We had 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, and what I thought was a solid life. Not perfect, but real.
Elena's best friend Sarah had been part of our lives since before the wedding. She was at every birthday party, every holiday dinner, every backyard barbecue. I trusted her like family.
But for the past 6 months, something had been off. Elena started working late 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. She'd come home smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't mine, and she'd go straight to the shower.
I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself that's what stressed out husbands do. They invent problems where there aren't any. Then came the dinner party. It was a Saturday in October. Elena had invited 3 couples over, including Sarah and her husband Marcus. She spent all day cooking, cleaning, setting the table like it was a magazine shoot. I remember thinking how beautiful she looked that night. She wore a red dress I'd never seen before. When I asked her about it, she just smiled and said, "I bought it for myself. Is that a crime?" Dinner started fine. Good food, good wine, easy conversation. But I noticed Sarah barely touching her plate. She kept staring at Elena with this look like she was carrying something heavy and couldn't hold it much longer. Around the second bottle of wine, Marcus made a joke about trust in marriage, something harmless. Everyone laughed. Everyone except Sarah. She set her glass down so hard it almost cracked. The table went quiet. Elena's eyes went wide. "You want to talk about trust?" Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Let's talk about trust."
Elena immediately stood up. "Sarah, not here, please." Her voice was sharp, almost threatening, and that's when I felt it, that cold, sinking feeling in my chest. She knew what was coming.
Sarah turned to me. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying before she even arrived. "David, I can't do this anymore. I can't sit across from you and pretend everything is fine." The other couples shifted uncomfortably. Someone muttered about leaving. Nobody moved. "Elena has been seeing someone," Sarah said, "for 8 months. His name is Ryan. He's her project manager at work. And I know because she told me everything, every detail, every hotel room, every lie she rehearsed before coming home to you." The room stopped. I couldn't breathe. I looked at Elena, waiting for her to deny it, to scream, to call Sarah a liar. She did none of those things. She just stood there with her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face, and in that silence, I had my answer.
"How could you tell him like this?" Elena whispered. "Not, it's not true, not, I'm sorry." Her first instinct was to blame Sarah for the method, not herself for the betrayal.
Something inside me broke. Not loud, not dramatic. It was quiet, like a wire snapping under too much tension. I pushed my chair back and stood up. My hands were trembling, but my voice was steady. "How long were you going to let me play the fool, Elena?" She started sobbing. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. It just happened. I was going to end it. The classics. Every line pulled straight from the cheater's handbook." I turned to Sarah. "Why tonight? Why here, in front of everyone?" Sarah wiped her eyes. "Because she wasn't going to end it, David. Last week, she told me she was thinking about leaving you for him, taking the kids. She was already looking at apartments. And I couldn't let you be the last one to know." That hit different. The affair was one thing, but planning to take my children, dismantling our family in secret while I sat at home reading bedtime stories, that was something else entirely. Elena screamed at Sarah, called her a traitor,
a jealous liar, every name she could think of. Sarah just sat there and took it because she knew she'd done the right thing.
The other guests quietly gathered their things and left. Marcus put his arm around Sarah and walked her to the car. And then it was just the two of us, standing in the wreckage of a dinner party and an 11-year marriage. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I walked upstairs, checked on my sleeping kids, kissed them both on the forehead, and packed a bag. Elena followed me from room to room, begging me to stay, to talk, to give her a chance to explain. But there was nothing left to explain. The explanation was 8 months long, and I'd been living in it without knowing.
I stayed at my brother's place that night. I didn't sleep. I just sat on his couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every late night, every business trip, every time she said I love you, while hiding a second life behind my back. I filed for divorce the following Monday. It was the hardest phone call I ever made, but also the clearest. Some truths don't leave room for second chances. Elena tried everything. Counseling, letters, showing up at my brother's house in tears. She ended it with Ryan, or said she did. But the trust was gone, and no amount of apologies could rebuild what she'd burned down on purpose. We share custody now. The kids are adjusting. It's not easy, but they're resilient in ways I wish I could be. Sarah and I don't talk much anymore. It's awkward she's still connected to Elena's world, but I sent her a message a few weeks after the divorce was finalized. Just 2 words, thank you. Because the worst thing isn't being betrayed. The worst thing is being betrayed and never finding out, living in a lie that someone else built around you, smiling at a stranger wearing your wife's face. The truth didn't save my marriage, but it saved me.